It's not a job, it's a way of life. We know. At Hallway Feeds, we've worked for generations to advance equine nutrition because watching them at their peak is like nothing else. With Hallway Feeds, the race is in the bag.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horse Races Now podcast. Kenny, you're back in your hometown. We're back at Churchill, back at Louisville, Kentucky. How's it feel to be back home?
Fantastic. I mean, pretty well traveled this summer between me and Sonny and the girls. And yeah, it's nice to be home. We traveled from Saratoga day before yesterday and got unpacked, half unpacked. And then we've got to hit this Keeneland September sale starting tomorrow. So no rest for the weary, I suppose, but it's all good.
Awesome.
Glad to be back.
Awesome, man. So good. So what's new? Anything we need to know on kind of the big name horses in the stable?
Well, Mystic Dan's here at Churchill. Blackout Time, whom you've heard of, is here at Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
A list of other really good horses pointed towards the Pocahontas, the Iroquois, the Alcibiades, the Futurity. Gould's Gold's going to either run in the stake at Delaware or the Woodward at Belmont at Aqueduct. It's logistics time for us right now. We've got to move horses more into Belmont,
okay,
from Saratoga, and then we're working on getting the Saratoga horses to Kentucky, which, speaking of the Torpedo, Anna is going to work tomorrow at Saratoga and likely migrate to Kentucky sometime either this weekend or first of next week.
Is this all weather dependent?
Not necessarily, just trucking.
Okay.
But she's going to come. She'll come to Churchill, and we'll get her set up here at her Kentucky home.
Love it.
She'll be pointed towards the Spinster.
The Spinster. Okay. Have you made any decisions on what you may do come Breeders' Cup?
A little too premature. I'd love to think we could have something for the colts, the 2-year-old colts and fillies, turf and dirt.
Yep.
Mystic Dan, we're probably going to point towards the Breeders' Cup Mile, although he's going to run the Lucas Classic between now and then, and that might dictate whether or not he goes to the Classic or the Mile. And then Anna would distaff at this point, unless she were to be really impressive in the Spencer. We'll see. But more than likely she'll distaff. And yeah, we've got a nice base of young horses and older horses, and it's all good.
All right, Kenny, here's what I want to get into today. We've had a few emails, a few listeners mention this, and I know you don't probably play in the Oklahoma world as much, but there's a big thing in horse racing now where it's all about the jockey's wages. So basically, I forget what track it is in Oklahoma, but Remington. There you go. So you know what I'm talking about. So it's the jockeys are getting paid $75 for a losing mount. Obviously, they get more if they're first, second, or third. And the jockeys, I think, are going to strike. And there's kind of this big thing with that right now. Love to know your opinion on jockeys' fees and what they should get paid. Is the $75 too little? What's your thoughts there?
The truth is that I hate to get involved in that conversation because I really don't know enough about it.
Understood.
So let me start with that.
Understood.
So anything that I say can be taken with a grain of salt because I really don't know a lot about it.
Well, the jockeys get paid by the tracks, correct?
A jock mount comes out of the owner's account.
Okay.
For every race. Now, I'm not sure what those fees are at tracks like Keeneland and Churchill and Kentucky tracks. And for me to be more educated to answer your question, I'd probably need to look into that. What we need to do is to bring somebody that really knows the topic.
Got it.
And what I'd like to do, and I'm going to go ahead and get ahead on this, we're going to start bringing other people in on this podcast.
I love it.
You will see less of me and more of others. We would like for you to give us some ideas on whom you would like to hear. I know that I've told Cindy, who Teague and I work with, that I want to make a list of all the top trainers and all the top jockeys, and I would like to invite them to come on your show, Teague.
Yep.
And let them have what I would call some airtime.
Love it.
This podcast started because of my local church, St. Margaret Mary, asked me to be on a podcast that you manage.
Mm-hmm.
It's evolved into kind of our show.
Yep.
But I think we're gonna move it into what I would call a more of an international, domestic and U.S. and international show. I think people want to hear from others than me, and honestly, I'm excited for others to have the platform. We've established a really good base, but back to the question, we need somebody that's an expert on this topic that sits in.
I love it.
And off the top of my head, Terry Meeks, who is a representative of the Jockeys Guild, would be ideal for this. He probably already has his head wrapped around all that.
Yep.
So why don't you write Terry's name down?
Got it.
And we will reach out to Terry, invite him on next week's show, and see what his 2 cents is.
Love it.
Because like I said, anything I would say would be wrong. And I went through this decades ago. They had a jockey strike in Kentucky.
Okay.
And it affected Turfway Park's September meet, and they shut down racing for a period. We actually raced in New Jersey that fall because we weren't going to race. We thought we weren't going to race in Kentucky, and then they worked it out. And I'm not sure. Like I said, I do not know the details, and let's get somebody more knowledgeable to answer that question.
I love it. Well, I appreciate that. I think that's a great idea. And listen, the numbers on this podcast are pretty phenomenal. So branching out and getting more people involved, I think it's just going to make this thing grow. So I love the idea. And maybe we can get Terry involved next week and answer that question.
We'd like to get some top owners in, top trainers, top jockeys. Maybe we'll get into a routine where we send out some invites to the Ortiz brothers, or wouldn't that be fun to have the Ortiz brothers
unbelievable
on there together?
So cool.
This is a little window of time they could do these things too, and I'd love to have Todd Pletcher on, Bob Baffert on, Cox, you name it, Chad Brown. I mean, these guys I'm all familiar with, friends with,
sure,
and hopefully they're open to coming on, because like I said, I think we've heard enough from me. And that's fine, Well,
I don't know.
I
don't know that our listeners completely agree. I mean, we get comment after comment every show of just how grateful people are of you sharing your knowledge. So I would caution you a little bit on that. I think people love hearing from you. However, I love the idea of getting some other voices involved.
Well, like I said, we want to expand the platform. We want it to be. I mean, I would love to get some English trainers and Irish trainers and French trainers and look, Australian, you name it. I think we need to expand our footprint a little bit. But let's start with some of the American guys. And there's so many really talented horsemen out there that I think people would get a real kick out of, getting a firsthand a conversation with them.
Love it.
And once we get a list of those that accept the invite, then that'll give you a chance to study a little bit how to ask, what kind of questions to ask.
Yeah, of course. I love it. All right. Let's get to a couple more of our listeners' questions here. So this particular listener says they have a share in Trust, maybe is the horse's name.
Trust and Verify.
Trust and Verify. There you go. There was a My racehorse that apparently you took over from Dean Wayne Lucas. Does this ring a bell at all?
Correct.
All right. So the question is, what is the process like when taking a horse over from a different trainer? Does the training change? Expectations change? Does the distance? What changes with you taking over this horse?
Well, Wayne never had the horse. So the horse came from a training center. They bought him in a 2-year-old sale, and he came from a training center in Texas.
Okay.
And they originally said that Wayne was going to be getting the horse, and then of course Wayne passed.
Got it.
So that changed. But so I didn't get the horse from Wayne. But horses change hands regularly, for those that don't know, and it's not unusual for whether a trainer's changing circuits or an owner wants a horse running in Kentucky as opposed to New York or what other state, California, and then we'll get a call saying, "Hey, can you take this horse and help us with it?" And then we have times when they take horses from us and move it to other people too. This is a normal business practice. We work on when a horse leaves us. We relay shoeing and worming and dental and any health records that we can pass along. We try to do it. It's somewhat like players being traded or changing teams.
Yep.
And all you can do is be respectful about it. I myself it doesn't thrill me to get a horse from a trainer that's already had a horse and even done well with a horse. I had a situation recently, a horse who the trainer had made $1 million with the horse, and the ownership wanted to move the horse to me, and I ultimately convinced them I didn't think that was a great move, and the horse had a little issue, but wonderful to be asked, but sometimes the situation's not always correct, and it really depends on the situation.
I get that. And so I wonder, you bring up like professional athletes. So sometimes you may be, let's say you're in New York and it's too much for you, but you get traded to Cincinnati, and then all of a sudden you're in the right environment and you thrive. Do you see that with horses? Is it the same deal or not?
Well, my mother said a long time ago, she said, son, horse trainers like Baskin Robbins. There's more than 31 flavors.
Yeah.
You don't expect people to just taste your flavor every day.
Yeah.
The talent of horsemen out there of all those flavors is really good. And sometimes changing an environment on a horse is good for them. And so those kind of things happen. And an owner might want to say, hey, look, this current trainer's gotten this horse to a certain level. Let's see if another trainer can take that horse to the next level.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen. I mean, actually had it happen quite a bit earlier in my career. I mean, my favorite story is Sarava. I ran the horse 4 times. I had 2 seconds, 2 wins. And then through a series of events, we had a shoeing issue. The horse's feet got sore. He had little issues. I mean, everything's my fault, right? I mean, at least everything gets thrown is my fault.
Sure.
My blacksmith changed the shoeing. The horse started going poorly. We had to turn the horse out, and then they moved the horse to Bob Baffert.
Okay.
And Bob put his spin on the horse, and Bob would call me and say, how did you win with this horse? But we did our job, and in that case, the owner's thinking is that horse, Bob can take that horse next level. And I remember telling Bob, I said, you'll be in the Hall of Fame before me, Bob. You got to figure it out.
Right.
and that particular horse, I mean, Sarava had all these little idiosyncrasies and issues that we dealt with. And, look, ultimately the horse wasn't going well when I lost the horse. And, okay, I could understand. I was not happy with my blacksmith at all. I thought he made some really stupid moves, changing the horse's shoeing.
Gotcha.
But look, you couldn't unring that bell once it happened. And everything's my fault, right? So, and we tried to get him through it, but we couldn't, and ultimately had time off. But he never won again.
Interesting. I was going to ask you that.
Bob ran the horse 8 times, and he's probably one of Bob's least favorite horses ever. but really proud. I did my job. At 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, I did my job.
Yeah.
And yet sometimes those changes work in favor of an owner, and sometimes they work against. So that's just the way it goes.
So I've got to think, I coach a travel baseball team, and I deal with parents all the time that have unrealistic expectations of their particular athlete. Do you see that in owners? And listen, they got a lot of money invested in this too. Do you see it where, well, Kenny can't get it done, so maybe Bob can, or maybe somebody else can, or vice versa? You probably get horses that came from big trainers as well. Do you find that owners become a little delusional at times?
Well, especially depending on whether they raised the horse or whether they bought the horse for a lot of money. And what you're doing as a trainer is you're trying to find the level that horse fits. And sometimes if I can only take that horse so high, maybe it is a good idea for somebody else to try to take him higher or her higher. And that's not to begrudge the ownership for trying that. For that matter, I think with our operations unique in that I've got a lot of talented people I'm surrounded by, and if Jimmy Jerkins has this horse figured out, but yet Francisco doesn't, or vice versa, or Greg Geyer, the horse is in a really good routine here. So in a way, we're kind of changing trainers too.
Yep.
So it goes from a, maybe my Kentucky or my Keeneland barn likes the horse, or my Churchill barn gets along with the horse better than the New York barn.
Right.
And so, yeah, sometimes those things that work. So we really have the luxury of being able to, quote unquote, change assistant trainers. And so when a horse does leave us, we've usually checked every box, dotted every I, crossed every T.
Yeah.
And so we got a real good idea of what we're handling. Now, the owner might still want to make a change, and that's okay. And my mother always said, look, you're going to get hired and you're going to get fired.
Yeah.
She said, when you get fired, go gracefully, so long as they pay their bill. And I've had some that didn't.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, I've got some that I'm chasing.
They probably still owe you money
because things didn't go their way.
Oh yeah.
But she said the best thing you can do is continue winning. She said you never have to say a word, just keep winning, and that's all you could do, and that's your job. And she said, when you see them, be gracious, and when they hire you back, then many cases they realize that you did do a good job.
Yeah.
And so that does happen, and jockeys get it much worse than trainers. Jockeys lose mounts, trainers change jockeys, jockeys get blamed. That happens all the time, and so it's the same, except it's not as an extreme with trainers. Trainers, the horses aren't moved as often, but then sometimes you get owners that just jump their horses around all the time. And honestly, I don't want to work for them. I want to work for somebody that gives me a chance to play it out. But back to jockeys, that's why I use Brian, because I believe continuity works.
Yeah.
I don't jump around jockeys all the time.
Yep.
In New York, I'm trying to find the right rhythm on the right jockey, the ones that we can get on a regular basis. We have that in Kentucky. And then somebody will back up Brian when we don't have him. But I don't use jockeys as excuses, especially with Brian Hernandez. Completely trust his judgment, like my owners in a lot of cases completely trust mine.
We get that question a lot, Kenny, of people saying, why didn't Kenny ride the hot jockeys? Why does he always stick with Brian or some of the guys you use at the other tracks? And that's the answer, is continuity.
Yeah, well, the top jockeys that ride for top outfits, who ride for top owners, and there's many of them that would love to be in our outfit, but I'm going to expect the equal loyalty that I get from Frank Bernice and Brian, and for especially the New York riders, because we're not a New York outfit.
Correct.
Per se. We're kind of considered a Kentucky outfit.
Right.
Then their loyalty would be more to those that stay in New York regularly. And so we're, kind of in a position where we're trying to find the same rhythm in New York as we've got with Brian here. And we're going on a decade working with Brian. It's I'm going to say it's an easy, happy marriage in the sense that, I don't yell at him, he doesn't yell at me, and we all just do our job and we keep it steady. And sometimes he has to ride another horse, and sometimes I'm in a position where I ride another rider.
Sure.
But nobody gets jealous and nobody gets upset, and it is, we kind of take it as it comes.
Have you ever had situations where you've looked at the jockey and been like, why'd you do that? Like, that was not what we discussed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. More in New York than anywhere.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some rides that I go, what was that?
Right.
And honestly, I don't get that with Brian too much.
Yeah, cool. Well, you said you trust him.
Well, I'm looking for a rider that doesn't give me that too much. And so, that's, finding someone like Brian's a real rarity. I mean, how many trainers and jocks work together for a decade? Somebody said the other day we won 35 graded stakes together. I don't know how many grade ones, but
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and because I'm not in New York year round, it really makes it a little harder for me to get into the rhythm. We're trying to get Jimmy Jerkins into rhythm. He's won 2 Travers with Castellano.
Yep. I
think you'll see Castellano on a few more of our horses. I still am I'm impressed by Luis Rivera Jr. and also Chris Elliott.
Yep.
2 young riders that I think you'll see in the next 5, 10, 15 years will be well-established riders. I think Chris has probably got a little bit head start on Luis, but Luis he's got the work ethic. But you're trying to anticipate the future a little bit.
Has there ever been a jockey, Kenny, that well, maybe ask you this. Who do you think is the best jockey you've ever seen?
I'm going to tell you this. Most of them are Cajun. And I had a strike rate with Shane Sellers that was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
But we had a really, really intense relationship as a trainer and a jockey. I mean, we fought. We yelled at each other. There's times he hated me and I hated him. But he was a great rider.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Probably should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, my relationship with Robbie's been ongoing. He was just here a few minutes ago helping out in the barn. But my relationship with Robbie's always been good, although I had a really bad relationship with his agent because his agent wasn't loyal to anybody.
Okay.
And then the Sormo, great rider. I mean, Brian is and probably will be my best rider ever.
Right.
You know, definitely got to put him on the top. That Kentucky Derby win was because of him. He got that done.
Yep.
You know, Ann is not so difficult, but he's gotten it done. But in many cases, he just had to hang on.
Yeah.
But I could list you a whole bunch of other ones. But it seems to me that the Louisiana riders are probably, you know, real next level. And I don't know that particular pattern's going to continue. I think that the racing in Louisiana has changed a bit, and where they started in the bush tracks and such has changed.
Sure.
You know, that's a but for me, I'm really fond of Louisiana. You know, Julian Lepreux's a French rider. I've won a lot of races for Julian. He's got a particular style, but I still go back to the Cajun riders.
So we've got a new sponsor, Kenny, Fairmont Park Casino and Racing. What do you know about them?
Nobody tells me anything.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Did you not know? Yeah, so we're going to start. We have an ad that I may run right now.
It starts with a heartbeat and becomes a rush you can't outrun. Classic games, the hottest slots, a floor alive with fun and possibility. And when you need to catch your breath, even more rewards are just around the turn. Become a new Casino Rewards member today for a chance to win $100,000 in free slot play. Fairmont Park Casino and Racing. Unforgettable wins.
For Fairmont, so super excited to have them on board.
Well, me too. Like I said, that's news to me, but that's great. You know what we're going to try to do? We're going to try to stream the St. Louis Derby live.
Cool.
On Horse Races Now with a full replay of that card. We're working. I've got somebody working to help us on that topic or that issue, and I think you'll be able to on the app to watch that St. Louis Derby, and we'll probably send out some notifications to the fan base that that I've won that race with Rattle and Roll, and that's a great race over there. And I think that St. Louis, myself, Fairmont Park is one of the hidden gems in American horse racing.
Yeah, okay.
There is a lot of potential there, and if you could, that metropolitan area, or city and county or rural, is 5 or 6 million people.
Yeah.
At one point in time, St. Louis had more racetracks than any city in the country.
Okay.
There's a really great book called Making Tracks.
Okay.
If you pulled it up on eBay or Amazon, Making Tracks, and it's got a kind of a green-brown cover on it, but that talks about every racetrack that existed in the St. Louis area going back into the 1800s, early 1900s, and today Fairmont Park's the last one.
Wow! All right.
So that's crazy. So there was a love for horse racing, and obviously a love for baseball there. So Fairmont Park, I think, is a really good purchase by that group Excel.
Yep.
And it's being run by Vince Gabbard, and I think you're going to see that track rise. It's on the 64 corridor, So basically, you Keeneland, Churchill, then Fairmont.
Sure.
Actually, you got to pass Ellis Park to get to Fairmont.
Right.
And Fairmont sits in a really unique interstate exchange where it's easy in and easy out. And I encourage fans there. Actually, they get a really good fan base that goes to the races. What they need to do is to lift the quality of their racing, and they're doing that. They're working to do that.
Yeah.
I think Vince Gabbert's a huge addition.
Awesome.
Fairmont Park.
Well, that's really, really cool. You know what we ought to do, Kenny? This is, me giving you a business idea off the cuff here. When you talked about streaming, I don't know if you've ever watched like Monday Night Football and watched the Manning cast, where Peyton and Eli, they'll bring in guests and they talk about the game as the game's going on. That would be so cool if people of your stature talked about big races as they were going on. So you're just you weren't calling the race, but you're talking about what was happening as it was happening. A jockey, a trainer. That would be really neat to see that happen.
I would love to do that. I would think that, you could do the paddock.
Yep, that's right.
No, that'd be fun to do.
And just talking about the things you guys see that the average listener isn't going to ever really see, but you guys as professionals have been doing this your whole life. It'd be really interesting to hear you guys kind of dissect what you see on TV there. I think that would be kind of really cool. I love the Manning cast, and that's becoming more and more popular. If a basketball team gets the championship, they normally bring in local guys and have like the local broadcast. I really think that would be a cool, different flair that horse racing hasn't seen.
Well, look, I'm all for it. I just got to find time on my schedule.
Yeah, amen.
Stop adding things to me.
No, I'm sorry. So keep throwing things at you.
But I do think it's a great idea, maybe on the other side of me retiring from horse training. But what's the guy's name that does the show on ESPN? He was a former kicker.
Oh, Pat McAfee.
McAfee does that kind of stuff.
He's awesome. And people love. It's the reason he's the biggest star in the world right now in that world.
He's got great energy.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I don't know if this is the Pat McAfee show, but we're I think we're headed in the right direction.
We are,
especially if we could get some guys on there that could really contribute to the conversation. We need Rapoli on. Hey, Mike. Hey, get out of the house and come on the show one day. We'll banter back and forth on what racing needs to do.
I would love Rapoli.
I'm all for it. We could bring Ray Pollock in. Ray's got plenty of good opinions, although he's like a little polarizing. So am I. So is Mike. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. Rapoli's got plenty of strong ideas.
Oh yeah.
He's kind of an outsider trying to shake the tree a little bit. I'm doing the same thing, doing things a little different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go with the status quo. We're going to, lay it all out. Here's what we deal with. But Rapoli, he'd be fun to be on.
Yeah, we got to
watch the
happen.
language, Mike. You can't be talking no F word, F bombs. It's a family show.
Speaking of Rapoli, has there been any talk of series or year 2 of the Netflix series?
No, nobody said anything to me, but somebody said that they're doing another one, but I could probably reach out to the production team and see what's going on, but I do not know those.
That's interesting. I think the first one was very well received, so they ought to do a year 2. That would be awesome.
Well, at least the third and the fourth episode were really well.
Yeah, well, that's right. you were pretty prominent in those 2 episodes.
But we need to work. I don't know if that's coming up or not. Matter of fact, Mike could probably tell you well before me.
Well, he may be involved again. All right. One of our listener asks, this is silly, wouldn't equine apple treats be a healthier treat than giving them peppermints?
Who wants healthy?
Well, the follow-up is does the sugary candy have any effect on their teeth or weight?
No, they're all fine. I mean, I would say that if they ate that all the time,
right,
all their life, maybe,
right.
But they love the peppermints, and we've known to give them apples and carrots and horse treats, but I think they do like the association of the wrapper, wrinkling the wrapper with the peppermint.
Yeah,
Anna herself is addicted to them. I don't know how many she gets a day. When I turn my back, she probably gets 20 of them a day. But
that's funny.
But anyway, but actually, peppermint's probably good for their stomach.
Okay. That makes
I
sense.
don't think that's not bad at all.
That makes sense.
And as long as she's in the feed tub and she's eating every day, what you got to worry about is they're eating plenty of hay consumption, because that's roughage that keeps their system moving well, and that that they're eating their grain every day. That the 2 quarts while they're here, let me tell you, we feed at 3:30. We feed 2 quarts. At 10:30 in the morning, we feed 4 quarts. At 4:30 in the afternoon, we feed 6 quarts. So it's a 3 times a day feeding, gives them plenty of sustenance. And you want to see a horse eat all that.
Shout out Hallway Feeds there.
It's Hallway Feed, yeah.
All right, Kenny, last question. We're going to get you back to doing your thing. Kenny brings to mind those MLB managers who face criticism for promoting rookies from the minors leagues to the major leagues, or from rookie ball to AA, AAA, what it may be. The question is, who really knows better for the horses? Is it the trainers? Is it the critics? Is it the owners? Who should be the one promoting these horses?
Well, definitely the trainers and the owners. The critics, I mean, if you've never trained a horse and certainly never handled one, there's some handicappers that they put on TV that I just scratch their head saying, what is he talking about? And I don't think that handling horses is about numbers.
Right.
I don't study over the sheets going into a race. I don't worry about the buyer figures. I criticized the buyer figures the other day. I told them I think they're trash. I don't use them. I handicap on speed rating variant, but I don't think handicapping, or I don't think preparing young horses, and that's what we do, has to do with numbers. It has to do whether a horse rises up to the competition.
Right.
Or whether they can't rise up.
Right.
And so I'm not one to handicap a race and criticize a trainer for being, because this horse doesn't fit. You don't know how that horse is training, how that horse is doing. You don't know whether we made a shoeing change. You don't know whether we, made a training adjustment. There's so many different dynamics. I had one critic, or what do you call it, announcer, brutalized me because I stretched the horse out. I ran him a mile and a quarter on the turf.
Okay.
First time he'd ever run on the grass.
Okay.
He claimed that I was running the wrong distance on the wrong surface. I'll tell you who it is. It's Andy Serling. The guy, thank God for the mute button. The horse had a mind that was absolutely impossible to rate him. If you ran him 7 furlongs, he'd run a half mile and quit. If you ran him a mile and a 16th, if he got collared, he'd win if they didn't collar him.
Right.
But he had to be in front the first half mile or so. And then I ran him a mile and a quarter, and he led all the way and won a grade 1.
There you go.
And he still doubled down how dumb I was for running that horse that distance. Now, okay, for me, if he had any decency, would have said, I was wrong there. But Andy can't ever admit he was ever wrong.
Right.
All right? I'm wrong all the time.
Sure.
I got to get everybody that's going to tell me I'm wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
I tell myself I'm wrong before anybody has to say anything. If I ran the horse wrong or ran the wrong surface, but I'm a tinkerer.
Yep.
And it's another thing. Some guys can't predict what I'm doing because I'm trying things.
Sure.
I'm doing a little of this and I'm doing a little of that. I might try a horse short, or I might run them long and then shorten them back up because I want to run dirt. I might run long turf because there's no dirt race.
Right.
I might run back short because there was no long race on the dirt.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared to run. So I'm a little unpredictable, which makes handicappers a little bit crazy.
Sure.
Because they can't really always predict me. But there are those that trust in that I'm going to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
And they continue to play me.
Yep.
Like in New York, if in my mind my horse is 5-1 on the board, almost always my horse is 10-1 on the actual board.
Right.
And they don't bet me in Saratoga like they bet me at Keeneland. But if I'm 5-1 at Keeneland in my mind, I'll be 5-2 on the board at Keeneland because they bet me at Keeneland.
Yeah.
and they expect me to win at Keeneland. In Saratoga, they kind of don't expect me to win, but then I sneak in and pay a big price.
Right.
We had some big price horses this summer.
Oh yeah.
Where they
recently
the great. Somebody said that the reason why Naira hired Andy is because they don't want people to have winners. Mm-hmm. That if they follow it, they won't have winners.
There you go.
So it's actually kind of a unique viewpoint. I never thought about that.
Kenny,
all right, Andy, I know you're going to be mad. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I got a job to do. You got a job to do. You can't pick me. I got it. No worries.
I had a group of friends make the trip to Saratoga that were from Louisville and played all your horses and walked out with a lot of money. So that should tell you something. Yeah. That should tell you something. All right, Kenny. Well, let's get out of here for today. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
Don't look forward to some new shooters on the show. In the meantime, Sonny's holding down the office here.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Stay.
He's like, why are you talking to me?
He's ready to go home. You ready? Huh? Yep. Let's do it, Dad. Oh.
Big stretch.
All right.
Thanks, Kenny. See you at the races.
Horse Races Now, the app to follow horse racing at over 1,200 tracks worldwide. View entries and results. Get notifications on your favorite horses, jockeys, trainers, racetracks, and owners. Users set up and revise notifications like live video at the gate, call to post, entries, results replays, etc.